What's up? What up? What up? Let's see what is going on here. I always do that, huh? I always start the video with lighting and hair and craziness. And look at how long my hair is getting, man. Look at that. Look at how long my hair is. I think I'm going to cut it. Nah, I don't know. I might not. I don't know what I'm going to do. Coffee Breaks Thursdays with Jason Zlatkus. That's what I'm going to do. Hey, guys, welcome. Thank you for being here today. It's good to see you. I don't see you. It's good to see you. Why do I say that? But I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're watching the show. This is our final show for the 21 season. I'm not doing one next week, and I'm not doing one. I don't know. We're going to come back in January sometime. So, Coffee Breaks Thursdays with Jason Zlatkus will return in 22. We are going to take it off Facebook. I think we're gonna go to YouTube with it or something. So we'll have to see, and I'll let you guys know. So hang in there. But today I have a great show for you. Our guest today is Mark Vasconcellos, and I'm very excited to have him on. I've been worried about butchering his name all week, but I'm sure I don't need to be. So anyway, Coffee Breaks Thursdays with Jason Zlatkus. Let's have some coffee. I am fully caffeinated and ready for battle today. I am really pumped about this show that we have coming up. So let's get right to it. Today, Coffee Breaks Thursdays with Jason Zlatkus. I keep saying it. Let's talk about some stuff that's been going on. First of all, shout out to my man, Pete Gerard, who was a guest on our show previously. I want to thank him for these wonderful DVDs that he sent me that have the autographs of the cast. Shout out to We Massacre Productions for producing these movies. And shout out to Kelly Helen Thompson, Kelly Helen Thompson. Oh my God, another name I keep worrying about saying wrong. For directing Lefty Lucy. So you guys, check these movies out. Now, when I'm an actor, right? You guys know that. I host the show, I do my thing. But the deal for me is that I don't do it, I don't do it for the money. You guys are like, acting and all this stuff. I don't do it for the money. I do it for the gifts. That's a true story. I do it for the perks, man. I'm in this for the gifts, for the perks. So thank you, Pete Gerard, and the teams behind these movies for those wonderful gifts. I really appreciate that. Good looking out, and thank you for being on the show, Pete. Let's talk about some other stuff that happened to me this week. And you know what? I've been auditioning a lot. I've had some really great auditions. I've had some really great auditions. Commercial stuff only. For some reason, I'm not. I'm really not even looking all that much, but I have an agency, a commercial agency, and so I've been getting a ton of auditions. And so shout out for that. Knock wood, of course. We don't want to. But the deal is I haven't landed any projects, so that's a little bit of a bummer. Awesome. Hey, from Trinidad. I know where Trinidad is. I went to high school with Otto Bolden. And if you're from Trinidad and Tobago, you know that Otto Bolden Stadium. So I went to high school with him. He is an Olympic silver medalist from Trinidad. So shout out to you guys there. Thanks for watching the show. I got totally distracted. Anyway, my point is I've been auditioning my butt off. And, and I think I'm turning in my best work and still not landing the roles. So, that's the thing about being an actor, right? Is that it goes. So I want to put that out there that it's not always hit. So I don't have anything going on other than really, really great auditions. But the deal is I've been training. So my work has gotten better and better and better. Like, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I'm like, whoa, dude, like from where I've come from. Like I'm really pleased with that. But let's move right along. Let's talk about some other things. I've got some really great stuff that we're going to get to before, obviously, Mark Vasconcellos coming on. And let me tell you guys, he's been in real stuff. Right off the bat, he hasn't been in any movies that end in the word NATO. So he's never fought a Sharknado or Cloudnado. He's been in actual movies. So it's rare for us to not have a guest that hasn't been in some sort of NATO film. So shout out to Mark Vasconcellos coming up, who has not been in any Sharknados, Clownnados. I don't know what other NATOs you can have. A NATO, the organization. Maybe there's a NATO. That would be pretty crazy. So anyway, let's talk about something. I want to give a shout out to an organization that is really dedicated. You guys are going to love this. I got to show you this. I got to cover my address to show you this. I got this in the mail this week. Okay? Check this out. Look at this. It's handwritten. Okay? Addressed to the family. Zlatkus family. Okay? Look at that. You can clearly tell a child wrote this. Now, I want to show you this thing. Okay? Inside this envelope is this letter. Now look at this. This thing is handwritten, man. Dear Zlatkus family. Okay? It's handwritten. Now, I thought maybe it was printed, maybe it had some sort of like, bumps or whatever, but or like some sort, it was, but you can feel the indentation. This thing is handwritten. And it goes on to say, I'm writing to share the wonderful hope given in the Bible. And then it goes, for the answer to the question and more, go to the website. Go to the website for Jesus. And I'm like, oh my God. Then here's the best part. Are you ready? Here's the best part. So some kid hand wrote this letter to my family. Probably, okay, follow me, right? Like I say, to me. And then it says at the bottom, sincerely, Christian. Really? I'll bet that's your name, dude. Like I thought, really, your name is Christian? I wonder how many kids at this church that are writing me handwritten letters are named Christian. Probably all of them, huh? Like what have you got other letters? Like, hey, my name is Jewish or my name is Muslim. Like, I thought, really, your name is Christian? That's a really ironic name for writing handwritten letters. And then I thought, shout out to the church for child labor in your propaganda. Man, you guys, this is hardcore. Imagine how hardcore you have to be to have kids writing letters that are like, hey, man, visit this website. Like, I'm telling you, dude. So shout out to child labor. Shout out to Christian, if that's your name, for handwriting this. You're clearly a child. If this is a message and you need help, please let us know at Coffee Breaks Thursdays with Jason Zlatkus. Handwrite us another letter. We'll put it on the show. We'll get you help if this is a call for help. Because this took a lot of time, brother. Shout out to you for that. So the other thing I wanted to tell you about is I watched this movie on Netflix, man. Speaking of people who have too much time on their hands, you have to watch this movie on Netflix. Now, I ain't one of those guys that tells you to watch stuff. I don't care. Okay, I don't go, oh, watch this show. I don't care if you're watching it. I don't care about Handmaid's Tale. I watch Hawkeye. I do my thing, right? I don't tell you to watch shows. You got to watch this one. It's called Tread, and it's on Netflix. And it's the nutsest story in the whole world. It's about a dude who is fed up with his town, okay? And he builds a bulldozer, a tank, okay? Like something out of the A-Team. Like, and dude shows up with a tank and decides to bulldoze the town he lives in. He's pissed at the board, and he's pissed at these other people, and he feels the whole town is against him, and he bulldozes the town. You guys, it's the story of this. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. To bulldoze a town. This guy builds it in secret. And this guy's a master welder. Like, when I tell you this vehicle's unstoppable, they can't stop this vehicle. And they call the National Guard. You got to see it. You got to see it. It's called Tread. It's called Tread, and it's on Netflix. And hi, Mom. Hi, Mom. Yes, thank you for watching, Mom. This is the part where I talk about a man who bulldozes a town. So anyway, the point is that this dude, man, he's got all the justification in the world for bulldozing this town, and it's all like, you got to see it. You got to see it. Watch this movie called Tread, and then tell me what you think. Write me. Tell me what you think. And if you've seen it, man, it's a true story, dude. It's a true story. And the reason you haven't heard of it is because Ronald Reagan died the day after. And so when Ronald Reagan died, it stole all this dude's thunder. But you have to watch this movie called Tread. I always thought, what if you were crazy enough to bulldoze your town? What if you were like, I've had it here? Like speaking of Los Angeles, live from Los Angeles, of course, it's Coffee Breaks Thursday with Jason Zlatkus. Let's do a little handsome history before we bring on our guest. This is the part where I get very handsome and we talk history. Hello. Our guest today is from New Mexico. Now, for once, our guest is from a state I can't make fun of. Oh man, we don't have a guest from Florida today. We don't have a guest from Texas today. We don't have a guest from Alabama. We don't have a guest from California. Our guest is from New Mexico, man. New Mexico's legit. I can't say anything about New Mexico, man. I can't say anything about that. Here's what I will tell you in Handsome History today. The very first, we talked about the atomic bomb last week on the show. And you know that because you watch the show every week. And if you don't, what's up with that? What's up with that? Okay, so the atomic bomb. Did you know that the very first atomic bomb was dropped in New Mexico? And it wasn't dropped there. They tested it in New Mexico. And and now there's a sign there that you can go visit. That's, the site of the first atomic bomb testing. So New Mexico has, if you want to go visit a desert with a sign, you can go see that and pay your respects to that wonderful thing that is the brilliance of science and the tribute to warmongering, that atomic bomb. The other thing about New Mexico was, and you may not know this, was Doc Holliday. Now, I give New Mexico gets a hard time for being a desert, but the truth is, in actuality, New Mexico has a vast landscape. New Mexico, Mom, stop trying to pitch me in films. I'm doing a show. But thank you, Sherry, my mother. Thank you, team. Come on, I'm doing a show. My mother's sending me messages in the chat here. If you, what's up with that? What's up with that? Okay, I'm having too much fun, and I know the producer's going to go get to your guest. So anyway, shout out to producer Warren Madden. New Mexico gets a rap for having a desert, but the deal is that it actually has a vast landscape, including rivers and all kinds of stuff. It also has it's technically the smartest state in the union because it has the highest per capita PhD rate. So the people who live there, for the amount of people that live there, more of them have PhDs than anywhere else. So that's pretty fascinating. So New Mexico isn't all that we've been told or all these things that, when I did my research on it, I learned quite a bit about New Mexico. But I also learned that Doc Holliday was a dentist in New Mexico. We all, of course, know Doc Holliday. He's very famous. And he moved to New Mexico because, he had tuberculosis, and he was told that the dry climate in New Mexico would help his tuberculosis. And while he was there, he was a dentist. And he decided to, shortly after being a dentist, his dentistry turned into a saloon. So he had a saloon there. And one night when he was gambling, this other dude got ticked off at him and went up and shot up his saloon. And Doc comes out and takes him down with one bullet. And after that, Doc moved to Arizona with his friend Wyatt Earp. And you know the rest. It was then he was lucky to get played by Val Kilmer, I guess, or something like that in some film. I don't know, some crappy ass movie. But speaking of New Mexico and crappy ass movies, as a matter of fact, we're not talking crappy ass movies today. We're talking really good movies today. So we are going to see if we can get our illustrious guest on. Hello, Kelly Helen Thompson. I mentioned you earlier. We did a shout out to your film, Lefty Lucy, that you directed. So thank you to the people who, of course, not make, and I give crappy movies a hard time. I give everything a hard time. As you know, no jokes, there's nothing off limits. I believe jokes have to be about something. So, got to make jokes. Anyway, let's see if we can get our guest on from New Mexico today and get to the show. Coffee Breaks Thursdays with Jason Zlatkus. Let's see. We're going to send him an invite. I don't quite see it there. And you guys know, once I send the invite out, I no longer have control whether or not our guest comes on. And like I said, this is going to be our last show on Facebook Live. We are going to move to, we're going to move off Facebook. Last show for the year. So I'm just doing whatever. While we wait for our guest, let's do Toy of the Week. Oh, hey, he just sent me a thumbs up or some crap. I don't know. I can't read that right now. Go ahead and I sent you the invite there, Mark. So hopefully you'll get that and you'll come on. But in the meantime, we're going to do Toy of the Week. So I told you guys that I collect vintage elf on the shelf, and I see this thing about vintage elves on the shelf, and people are like, "Oh, they're creepy," but the truth is I actually really think they have a lot of personality, and this one, of course, is sticking to my hands as I'm trying to talk about it. But look at the personality in this guy, and look at this too. He's super vintage. Look at that, made in Japan. I mean, I love these guys. They're from the 50s and 60s. These that I'm showing today. Now this guy's missing his hat, but look at that. He's sleeping. Isn't he amazing? Look at that guy. Now see where he's missing his hat there. So there, you've never seen an elf on the shelf without a hat. That's what he looks like. He looks like your grandpa, male pattern baldness. But I want to show you my favorite one before, of course, our guest is coming on. Look at this little tiny guy. This little tiny guy is so great. Look at how small he is. I love that one. Look at his hat. Oh man, I always wanted a hat like that. So that's pretty cool. I always wanted like a bedtime hat, but the truth is I don't think those really exist. I don't think anybody actually wore a bedtime hat. I've been looking and looking and looking for years and years. I don't think anybody wore that bedtime hat. I think that bedtime hat is a made-up thing. I don't think anybody ever did that. All right, last one. And hopefully our guest is coming on here soon. But this is my all-time favorite elf on the shelf. You're getting to see it today. I'm not going to show it anymore. I don't usually. Here it is. Ready? All right, here it is. Look at this one. It's got a little hole so you can hang it. And it's on it is this guy who sits in this like, holy crap! Oh, this is why. What does rotate your phone mean? Oh, I'm losing the show. Insane. That was pretty great. My elf on the shelf. Look, that's what I get for talking about him. Back. That was really fun, and I don't even drink during the show anymore. What the heck? No, I'm just playing. Look at this. Anyway, back on this guy. That's why live television is the best. You never know when you're going to catch your headphones. I did have earbuds. I did, and they just stopped. They started disconnecting during the show. And anyway, back to this guy. Look at his little judgmental face. And he sits on this ball that you hang. And I love him. Oh my God. And he's so cool. He's like connected to this pole. He's like connected back here. You can't see, but he's connected. So you don't take him off. And he sits there and you can hang him. And he's like the greatest elf on the shelf I've ever seen. I've never seen one that came with its own like hanging plant. Like this is my all-time favorite one. So I had to show you guys that. Anyway, we're waiting for our guest to come on here. Maybe our producer, Warren, can get him on there. It actually doesn't look like he's even watching the show, which he probably is. He might not be. Who watches the show? I don't know, man. Let's see what else we got going on this week. I don't really know. You know what? Christmas this. Discuss this. Live show. He's calling me on Messenger. You gotta. This is why we're moving the show off Facebook. Another reason, Christmas this year for me, it just is what it is. We didn't get our tree set up until later. Christmas at our house isn't tons and tons of things. We don't overdo it. What we do is put Christmas hats on Halloween items because Halloween stuff is pretty much the decor for for the year. We just leave it up all year long. And hey, Warren, if you want to send him a message and tell him how to get on the show, we've got a lot to say to him today, Mark Vasconcellos. So that would be great. Anyway, we just put Santa hats on our Halloween stuff. We don't really, because because you guys know I've been in the horror industry. I was big in the horror. There, Marcus wants to be on the video. I was big in the horror industry before before deciding to be and being an actor and a host of a show on Thursdays that people sort of watch and sort of don't watch. Let's see if we can get our camera. There he is. He figured it out.
I hope I have.
Oh, now my camera angle is messed up because I dropped the phone halfway through, and which is always a classic maneuver I do. Okay, let's see if we can balance this here. Sorry, Mark, while I get...
Oh, that's okay. I'm so untech savvy, it's sad.
Welcome to Coffee Breaks Thursday with Jason Zlatkus. I'm glad to have you here.
Pleasure to be here. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you great. In fact, you look great. You have a great camera angle. Everything is going wonderful. I'm glad you're on the show. Yeah, we have technical difficulties every week. We've decided that Facebook isn't the best place to do it. Although I'm grateful to the platform and those things for hooking us up. So, Mark, let's get to you. Were born, and I'm going to get to this. I usually don't go to where people were born, but you were born in San Jose, where I'm born.
It's true.
And so tell me, this is for my personal reasons. We're going to lose the audience on this, but I don't care. Where in San Jose were you born? Like, what part? Because I don't know, people who don't know, unlike New Mexico, San Jose is a city in California with 2 million people alone.
Yeah,
it's a massive city.
It's huge. So I'll give you a quick timeline. Basically, I was born in Fremont, California, moved to San Jose just after I was born. Lived in San Jose till I was about 13. And then my father moved us over to Spain for about 5 or 6 years, did all my high school in Spain, which was awesome. And then I went back to San Jose for BA in television and film at San Jose State.
And why did you, okay, so that was a lot. So it's funny you mentioned Fremont. Shout out to my mom, because I got my ear pierced in Fremont for the very first time after going to an Oakland A's game. So, it's right along that same freeway, a stretch of the freeway. So your formidable years, you seem to have spent a lot. It seems like you were really influenced by the time in Madrid.
I was lucky, man. I got to live in Spain, travel a lot. And then years later, I was like, I have this degree in film and television, and someone told me to go to Italy. So I ran away to Italy for 3 years and traveled the world for 3 years and did television and film stuff, shooting.
Right. So what makes you go from Spain to decide, I'm going to go back to California for college? Why do that?
I know. Why do that? Because I had a dad who said, you're going to college. And I'm like, no, I want to stay in Spain and play soccer.
You wanted, I did see, that's what I mean. See, so I did see you were big into soccer. So
yeah, I love the sport. And so I ended up going back to San Jose State, got a BA in television and film, no acting yet. And then just after I graduated, someone said, hey, you should go to Italy to be a model and do some of this and do some of that. And I said, sure, why not? So I bought a plane ticket to Milan, Italy, thought I was going to stay a month, and ended up staying 3 years.
Wow. So before we get to Italy, I really want to focus on San Jose some more. I know you're really excited about your time in Italy, but let me talk about a crappier place than Italy. When you were in San Jose, were you influenced by the earthquakes? Like, because you're a soccer fan, was that something to you? And I don't mean people who don't know. I don't mean California earthquakes.
No,
I mean the soccer
you just
team.
brought something back I haven't thought about in years. The San Jose Earthquakes were a huge soccer team there, and Crazy George. Remember Crazy George?
Yeah, man.
The number one fan.
Yeah. Crazy George was nuts, dude. Like, and he was at the Niners games, and he would pop up.
Every game you can imagine, he was there banging his drum. So yeah, I used to go to all the games. I'd go to the Oakland A's games like you, go to the San Francisco 49er games, go to the Oakland Raider games, all that stuff. So yeah, it was a blast. I had a good time. But then again, I moved away when I was 13. So
right.
changed.
But you were an adult when you came back to San Jose State, a soccer fan by then. The earthquakes. Well, okay, I mean, an adult. I mean, my kid, I have a 17-year-old kid, and I would not call her an adult. But
exactly. Even though they want to be called an adult.
Oh yeah, man. This one's ready to go. She's ready to move out and everything. And yeah, the whole bit. So okay, so you decide after leaving San Jose, obviously you go from you have a BA now in film and everything from State. And were you there during the earthquake in '89? Were you there in '89 when that happened?
No,
the actual earthquake?
I was living in Italy then.
So by then you're in Italy. So you get to Italy, you decide you're going to board a plane. Let me ask you, how much of it is, because I wonder about this when people get on a thing and they just take off. How much of it is, man, I really have no idea, and how much of it is, okay, I've got a plan, and did you just jump on a plane and go to Italy and think whatever happens happens?
Yeah. Okay, here's the setup for that. I had actually gone down to Los Angeles to work on a movie with a famous female director named Nancy Malone. And I was hired on as production assistant, fresh out of college, didn't know anything about real film sets. And so I became friends with everybody. We were having a blast. And one of the set decorators said, you know, you got kind of a different look. You don't look like a typical American. You don't look like the blonde boy next door. I have a friend in Milan, Italy, who has a modeling agency. Can we send him some pictures? I'm like, sure. Yeah, why not? And so after that summer, they said, yeah, put him on a plane and have him come over here and he can, you know, try be one of our models. I was like, okay. So I just bought an open-end ticket and went, you know, not knowing where I was going, what I was going to do, how I was going to make money. You know, I had some money in the bank. And sure enough, I got there, went and saw the agent, and they said, yeah, let's try you out. And it was all a crapshoot. And, you know, obviously you don't work 24/7 as a model. You go on auditions just like an actor, and hopefully you book something. When you book something, you get paid very well. And I went up to Paris, did some shows there, came back to Milan because I met a girl, and everything was like, cool. And then all of a sudden, nothing, no work. And I'm like, oh my God, what do I do to make money? So I went around, I got the phone book and started looking for video production companies. And I found one, and I said, look guys, I can do camera work, I can direct, I can edit, I can do all this stuff. Just give me a chance. In very bad Italian too. And so I said, you don't even have to pay me for the first couple times, you know, I'll work for you for free. And so they took a chance on me, and then that turned into a 3-year job plus modeling. So I was getting flown all over the place and shooting things for French and Italian television for 3 years.
Wow. I mean, that seems like the like the goal of everyone, like to be like jet setting around, you know, Europe and oh,
getting
you
paid.
know, yeah, getting paid. Oh, I'm a model, but I'm also working on the other end of the camera. Like, so at what point then, because that happened to me where I was a model first, and then and then, you know, I went, well, I can't make enough money on modeling. Why don't I consider being in movies? I didn't consider going the production end side that like you did. But so how from the production end, at what point do you take your first acting role?
Oh, wow. Okay, so after traveling and modeling for like 3 years, my relationship went kind of south, and I'm like, I knew that female director in Los Angeles, and I said, hey, I'm thinking of moving to LA to study acting. She goes, yeah, definitely go for it, and I can hook you up with a job if you come here. So I'm like, okay, cool. So early 90s, I jump on a plane and fly to LA, and I met a friend there, and he had got an apartment, and so we became roommates right under the Hollywood sign on Beachview or Beechwood Drive. And I got a job with Bob Hope.
Yeah, I saw that. Right.
Yeah. So my director friend, who was a very prominent director, she directed, you know, Hotel, Dynasty, all those drama shows. And she made a couple movies, and she made a phone call to Linda Hope, who was Bob Hope's daughter, and says, I have this guy he's in town. He wants to learn. He wants to work. And they hired me as a production assistant. And then I get into the office and say, well, I can shoot too. I can do camera work and editing. And they had an editor. And so I became like an in-house camera operator. So if Bob Hope needed an interview for NBC, I'd run over to the house with the camera, set it up, shoot him, and then take the tape over to NBC. So that was my introduction to Hollywood, dude. And it was like real Hollywood.
Yeah, it's hard to get better than Bob Hope's living room, I think.
Exactly. And then all his guests and his friends, and they actually, I guess the first acting gig would be on the Bob Hope show. I played a butler, and I welcomed his Christmas guest into the house. Lonnie Anderson, Burt Reynolds, all these huge stars.
Huge, right,
cool.
right. Man, Lonnie Anderson, that's amazing. At that time period, yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah,
I mean, Burt Reynolds is whatever, but Lonnie Anderson is pretty great.
Yeah, well, and like I got to hang out with Milton Berle, George Burns, all those big time Hollywood stars. And then obviously I was interested in acting, so I went and started studying at Stella Adler Academy West. So that was my start into acting.
Right.
Great.
So you've led ultimately a dream for actors, for models. I mean, to get to, Bob, modeling all across Europe, Bob Hope's Living Room, Stella Adler, nobody can even do that.
I got lucky. I was fortunate. A lot of this business is being in the right place and right time, but you better be ready when that happens, so.
Right.
Yeah, it was cool.
Right. So I always ask the guests sometimes is, how much of it is, obviously you're well trained. You can't beat Stella Adler. You can't, that's like the top of the list. So, I lost my train of thought there. What I was saying is, how do you, now I can't remember. Let's talk about something else.
Well, I transitioned into doing theater. Obviously, that was the first step, because while you're doing your training, I trained with Stella Adler at her conservatory, and then I worked with Actors Circle Theater under Arthur Mendoza, and we did lots of theater. So I did theater for like the first 2 years I was there, but then I was hungry. I'm like, I want to go audition. I want to get on television shows, et cetera, et cetera. And then you jump out into there, and then you realize that, oh my God, I'm like a minnow in a huge ocean of giant fish,
Right. Even with all your credentials.
Yeah, it's tough. And then you got to get the right agent, for the right representation who can get you into the right audition. So it's uber tough in that sense, because there's lots of people who say they're agents, but when we're young and stupid, we don't realize that we need to gravitate towards union franchise agencies.
Is that your suggestion to someone who's up and coming, who's looking for an agent?
Yeah, you just got to be very careful, because there's a lot of people out there that can say they're agents or they're managers, but they're not union franchise. Obviously ultimately as actors, we want to achieve SAG, Screen Actors Guild, so we can go on those big television auditions. The way I got my SAG card was through what's called the Taft-Hartley.
Yes.
Okay.
I know what it is, but go ahead and tell the audience what it is.
Right. The Taft-Hartley basically is when you're hired on to a show as an extra or a featured extra, they give you some lines because the scene, okay, so here's the scenario. That lady director friend of mine, Nancy Malone, she was directing a soap opera, and I was in a scene with Susan Lucci, famous soap actress, and I'm standing there because I have a thing full of salmon. It's a salmon packing plant. And I turned to her and she's like, oh, that's such beautiful fish. And I'm just standing there not saying anything because I'm an extra.
Right.
That has no lines. And the director's like, this is stupid. Let the guy say something. So yes, ma'am, we try to do our best. That was my line, pretty much. And so because of that, they have to keep it in the show. But in order to keep it in the show, they have to offer me SAG Taft-Hartley.
Right.
So I jumped at the chance to go SAG, which may have been a little too early, but that's okay. It allows me to audition for bigger shows and better movies and things like that. So you gotta play your timing right as an actor, build your resume, build your demo reel, do as many independent films and things like that, get really established with your acting and your resume, and then try to get SAG and get a legitimate agent.
I think a lot of people don't know that. I think a lot of people don't know that you have to have timing for SAG. It isn't just about going SAG. You got to have a worthwhile credit.
Right, so, exactly.
I mean, because, I think a lot of people don't know that. And I think that's sort of an industry secret. It seems like, and I don't mean that it's a secret, but like I said, I think it's not something we talk about a lot.
I mean, it's really logical when you think about it. These agents and these casting directors see so many actors. Why would they want to spend time with an actor who really has no resume and has no reel and has really not built up a repertoire of credits? So they brush over that, so you want to build, and then you go in and get the great agent, get the great auditions, get to the great casting directors. You don't want to show up too soon, if you're not prepared. because it's
Yeah,
tough, man. It's
and
tough.
this is a marathon game, not a you're not going to sprint to the end and there's no pattern. It takes a long time.
Yes, it
I
does.
I remembered my question from earlier. How much of it, obviously, like I said, you're well trained, you're classically trained. Uh, how much of it is the training and how much of it is who you know?
That's a good question. I'd say 50-50, because I was trained well, I was building a resume, but I had a hard time getting a really good agent to get me into good auditions, so I was doing a lot of indie work, and I still do a lot of indie work. I'm never going to stop. I'm an actor, I'm not going to give up. But yeah, a lot of it's who you know, right place, right time. And then when you're given that chance, you better shine, you better own it, So it was weird. It was weird because I spent 12 years in LA. I built some resume, and then I moved to New Mexico, which is a great film state. And I got to audition for some great shows, because I had a resume. I was able to get a decent agent, and I was SAG, obviously. So that helped me. And then that bolstered, because I got on several shows here, and that really helped out too. But, it comes and goes in waves. And when you're in those down periods, you don't just sit at home waiting for the phone to call. You get into productions, you create productions, you do whatever it takes to keep going and be out there,
And I think a lot of, again, like you're saying, I think a lot of people don't know that. I told the producer when he got you, I go, man, this guy knows what he's talking about on film, and this guy, really does it. And I think a lot of people don't know that there's downtime, and it's what you do with it. Yeah. And and usually what I do is have a pity party, but I'm glad to hear you don't do that.
Yeah, but I mean, like you're not doing that either. You're doing your show. You're out there. You're on social media now. Now everybody's got social media, and there's influencers and all that stuff.
Oh yeah,
which is great. But okay, we're doing something one-on-one in a little phone, and an influencer looks at themselves and takes selfies and this and that. But when you get on a movie set in front of a crew of 40 people, lights, camera, action, can you deliver? Right. Do you know how to deliver, and make it real? So, I teach acting for the camera, and a lot of people they have to learn that technique, because if you don't have it, you're scatterbrained. You're all over the place. Oh my God, there's so much going on. There's this and that. And you really have to know what to focus on as an on-camera actor to achieve greatness or great performances. I strive to really deliver a character that's full, rich, complete, and that shines, that shows when you've done that homework. It's not just learning lines and hitting your mark. You've got to encompass that character that's in the story. That's all part of your training.
You're speaking real stuff. I mean, like you're literally giving up the secrets of acting here. So,
I mean, everybody's got to have that process, but under Stella Adler, I learned, which is Stanislavski, basically,
right.
The number one rule is be true to the character and the story. Okay.
Right.
Because they're not hiring Mark Vasconcellos to play Mark Vasconcellos to play another character. They saw something there that I brought to the table or to the camera that really delivered the character and what they needed.
Let's talk about the Adler thing, because there is a huge difference, and you talked about training for film, and I want to ask before we get to the New Mexico, because I really do want to talk about a lot about the film industry there. But let me ask you, how difficult was it to make a transition from theater, where you go bigger, to film, where you go smaller? So how and a lot of people don't know that either. So how hard is that for you to do that and to teach that?
No, I teach that in my classes too. The difference between theater acting and on-camera acting. And now on-camera acting is real. Back in the day with Brando and those guys, the acting on camera was a little bigger, a little more dramatic, and everybody looks at it and goes, "Oh, well, those guys aren't really great actors." And yeah, they were, because it fit the time. It fit the time. So when I stepped out, I did 4 or 5 plays in LA when I was starting out. And then I got really anxious to be on camera, you know. So I realized through my training that the difference was you don't have to reach the back of the room when you're on camera. The only place it really has to be is here and here. And that's it. And that's it. The camera will catch all that, you know. So if you're trying to, you know, reach another actor or do something or pushing it, the camera's going to see it. And then you're going to come off as, oh, he's acting. And we don't want that. We don't want that.
Right. It creates an overacting because the camera multiplies everything by 10 times, not just, you know,
The only difference I would say is, as far as when you need a little overacting, is when you're doing comedy sometime, you know, because the comedy is a little larger than life and you got to step up your energy a bit, but you got to still be truthful to that character you're portraying. It just may need a little oomph in the energy department, you know. So it just depends. I mean, there's a lot to it.
So speaking of comedy, you were the boom operator on Mad TV.
Yeah.
So are you tall? Because they have me do the boom because I'm 6'4". Are you tall? Like
I'm 6'2". I'm 6'2".
Okay.
But I worked with a great sound operator, a guy named Craig Woods, who's been in the industry forever. And I was in LA and I knew someone that knew someone, and we met, and he's like, have you ever thought of doing sound? And I'm like, no, not really. I'm into cameras and directing and acting. He goes, well, you know, I need a boom operator. And I'm like, oh, cool. So, you know, I did that for what, 4 or 5 years in LA, but then they wanted me to go union in that department. And I was like, that's not where my focus or my heart is, you know? So I bowed out, you know, after a while. But yeah, worked a lot of movies, worked Mad TV, a lot of commercials. But that's a good thing for an actor to do. If they can work crew and see both sides of the camera, do it. Because then you learn and you understand how the puzzle of production and acting and story all comes together to create that final product, you know? So,
how much of being behind the camera has influenced the way you are in front of the camera?
A lot, because I'm a very technical actor too. I know a lot of the technical stuff about the filmmaking itself because that's what I studied at San Jose State. So I knew the technical side first, and then I got into the acting side. But it's great because when you're on set as an actor, you know, you have certain things you just have to do because of the technical side of it, okay? And the director loves that. The editors really love that, you know, because you know your continuity, and you become what's called an easy edit. If you can be an actor who's an easy edit, your producer, your director, and your editor are going to love you, and they're going to say, I want that guy back in my next movie because he makes it easy for everybody, you know?
Yeah, you nailed it. Like, I mean, because, you know, and again, you're giving away the secrets to acting because, right, that's the truth is if you know, that's why you can't move a lot because you're harder to edit.
Right. Yeah. Or, you know, drinking with the right hand every take. You do a few takes and it's all got to be the same, you know? So
yeah.
I always tell actors, you know, if you can get on a set and be a crew, do it. Why not? It's not going to hurt. You're going to learn. Okay. If you can go be an extra for a while on some bigger movies, go be an extra on some bigger movies, but watch the main actors, watch how they operate, watch what they do, and you will see their process and their technique in action, you know, which is cool. It's a good learning experience.
You would recommend getting abused? I mean, being an extra? Is that what you would recommend?
Dude. One of my first bigger movies, I went to go be a pirate on the island of Malta.
My.
Yeah. Someone told me that she was a location manager who had a really cool house. And she's go, I got a free room. Just get over here and I'll get you on the set. So yeah, I went to go be an extra on this huge, huge pirate movie. But it was great. You know, I learned so much and I got 2 other jobs out of it. You know, I got to be a stunt coordinator between the extras and the stunt guys. And then I did video assist as well, since I knew the video side or the production side of it too. So I had like 3 jobs when I was on that movie, which was cool.
Right.
Take a chance.
But that's rare though. I mean, I agree. I agree. But that's rare that, you know, because usually what happens is you just stand around freezing while the crew eats and you don't. So
yeah, I mean, you get abused, but, you know, I always tell my students that, you know, if you can get on the bigger shows or the bigger movies, go and watch. You know, be a good extra, do what you're told,
right?
But watch, listen, learn. You know, take that all in. And then, you know, after a while, don't be extras anymore if you can help it, but just get out there and start auditioning.
Right. You know, and basically, do what you're told and show up on time, I think is all you have to do to be an extra.
Yeah.
You know, it's usually go over here and stand. Okay, now go over here and stand. Now go over here and stand because you're in the camera frame, you know, those kind of things. Right. So let's talk about, so you decide to move from LA to New Mexico. And is that because the film industry in New Mexico? Like, what drew you to New Mexico?
A woman.
This is real talk, folks. Women have made a few decisions in your life. I get that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I had been in LA a while, and we just had a kid, and, you know, things were getting a little weird as far as work and stuff. And my wife is from New Mexico, and she goes, you know, New Mexico is a film state. And I'm like, what am I going to do when I get there, though? So I started going out with a buddy of mine, and we started shooting all the festivals and stuff. So I created my own television show, which is one of the first travelogue shows about New Mexico. And we got it on a couple networks. It's on my YouTube page. I have like 7 or 8 episodes up on my YouTube page. But that's how I started in New Mexico, because I've always tried to do stuff instead of waiting, you know. Do it. Go out and be involved. Get into the mix. And sure enough, we were shooting something in Albuquerque, and I get a phone call, and someone says, "Hey, would you like to be an instructor at our community college for film and television?" I'm like, "Okay, sure." Jumped on that. And then I started looking for agents. You know, there was only a handful of agents in New Mexico at the time, and so I submitted. I had a demo reel. I had a pretty decent resume, and I got picked up. And then I started auditioning for some of the television shows that were here. So it just kind of snowballed, which was nice, you know, and it really helped me build a stronger and bigger resume. Now I'm even thinking of maybe getting an agent in LA again, and, you know, going back and forth, or, you know, you just got to go. Well, you got to keep going.
Well, some of those shows
that way.
Some of those shows you're talking about, Breaking Bad, you were on Longmire, like you're talking about major shows that are shot there. Let me ask you another question. I hear this all the time, okay? Like, Chicago's the Los Angeles of the Midwest, and everyone should move to Georgia because Atlanta's the house of film. I hear, oh, New Mexico is the place to be. I mean, you know, you're talking about going back and forth between LA. Like, realistically, is New Mexico the place to be?
It's difficult, you know. It depends on what you're working on at the time. Okay, so most of the roles here in New Mexico now are day player roles, co-starring roles, things like that. So you can only get so high on certain shows and movies because a lot of the bigger stuff is still cast out of Los Angeles or New York. Okay, so, but it's a good place to start. It's really good. So Atlanta and New Mexico are great places to start. You build that resume, get an agent, and then maybe if you want to filter back to Hollywood or New York and step up, you can step up. You know, I've had friends from here who've gone to LA, and I'm like, "I'll see you in 6 months." Sure enough, they go to LA, they get their butts kicked, and then they come back. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, you get your butts kicked here. Yeah, hard.
You do.
Oh, yeah. But, and I feel you. Go on.
So I tell them, you know, Albuquerque's 3 hours away from Las Cruces. Go and build your resume, build your reel, max it out, get a couple, you know, co-starring roles if you can, and really build something. Then start submitting to LA agents to see if you can get picked up, and then go audition in LA. Because, you know, very rarely does anyone get discovered being an extra or being a day player.
Right.
You know, it's the industry's too fast. You know, it moves quickly. So, you know, you go in as a day player, hey, did your scenes, thanks, Mark, goodbye.
Yeah,
Moving on.
it's not, you know, a lot of people think, oh, the director's going to see you and go, where have you been? And it's like, no, that's not how it is. Like,
No,
not at
'cause
all.
they're thinking about getting their production done.
You
And
don't, the director's gone before your scene is even over. Like, you're not going
lots
to
of
talk
times,
to them.
yes.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that, you know, I mean, they're on 6 scenes over, you know,
Right.
and for all you know, you're shooting with the B team.
Right.
Like, at least
Yeah.
I've been. I mean, you know, maybe you don't shoot the B team, but I do.
So it depends on the levels of where you are, you know. So I'm getting you the point. I'd still do a day player roles, or I do co-starring roles here. Sure, why not? Every so often you get a reoccurring role, which is nice. But you want that guest star role, you know,
Right.
being a guest star, because then you're one of the main actors for the whole television series or whatever, or not the series, but the episode. So yeah, it's a little tricky. It's a little tough, you know, because when the productions come here, they're usually cast all the bigger roles already. So
Right.
we get the leftover roles, you know.
And that's how it was when I lived in San Francisco. You know, when I
Right.
lived in the Bay, it's the same
Yeah.
thing. You know, all the major roles are cast, and and then, you know, little small roles. Oh, I got to stand next to Keanu, like, you know, and and you still didn't get discovered. Like, it doesn't matter.
I know, it's tough. It's tricky, you know. So ultimately, to go get that really good LA agent and start auditioning for those co-starring roles and guest starring roles, that'll get you seen. You know, that's really where it's at. You know, I've been lucky enough. I know a lot of filmmakers that I get a lot of, you know, starring roles.
Yes. So let's talk about that. The prototype. Let's talk about that. I wanted to get to some of there's so much I wanted to talk about, but we're not going to get to it all probably. But let's talk about that. The prototype. You star in that. What are
Yeah. I've got 2 movies ready to release that I played one of the stars in. Prototype is a lead role, which is great. It's one of those movies that's been in production forever, just because the director is from Argentina. So he shows up in LA for a month, then he goes to Italy for a month, then he goes back to Argentina, you know, so it's crazy, but it's finally come together. It's a crazy sci-fi movie that's going to release early 2022. I'm hoping it's good, because I haven't seen any final product.
Right. And yeah, that's another actor's secret is, yeah, go build your reel. In 2 years from now, you'll have enough footage that you'll get some footage.
Yeah, then you got to start over again.
Yeah, then you don't look like that anymore, and your acting
Right.
is way better. Yeah. So
And then we have a movie called Broken Gaietti that's going to drop in, I think, January or February. And I play a supporting lead role there, which I won. We were in a lot of bigger film festivals, and we won several awards. I got 2 Best Acting Supporting Actor awards, which is fantastic.
absolutely.
Yeah, and they're bigger, legit film festivals. They're not really the online, you know, fly by night or fly by week film festivals. So
Yeah.
you know, when you can win a major award at the Madrid International Film Festival, I'm like, yes, thank you. That's awesome. You
Right.
know, and you put that up on your IMDb page. You keep building and building and building. So yeah, so hopefully.
And by major award in Italy, you mean an Italian leg lamp, right? Like, it's a major award. It's fragile because it's Italian. It must be that.
I got that award too.
Exactly. It's that. That's a major award. I knew it. Very good.
Yeah.
You won that at the festival. So no, you're right.
Yeah.
So winning that at any festival, but yeah, at a major festival, it's really, really great.
Right. It just helps build that resume. And so I have other directors who are coming at me wanting me to be in their projects. And the director for Broken Gaietti, he's working on a really cool new project, and I play the lead role in that. And boy, if we can pull this off, it's a mind-boggling story.
Well, I think I read that Broken Guy Eddie even has a sequel planned now.
Yes, yeah. So he's going to work on that, and then he's putting together. He's not sure if he wants to present it as a television series, the next one, or an actual feature film. So, but
right, series are very hot.
Yeah, it's really cool if we can pull it off. So
talk to me about River.
River's cool. River, we did that a few years ago. We, it was one of those passion projects. A friend of mine had a script, and he was like, how do we get this made? I'm like, well, we don't have money. We didn't have a budget, really. We had one person that put up some money, and we shot on weekends for almost a year.
Right.
And then it took us a year to put it through post-production. And then it took us 6 months to get worldwide distribution because, even though you make a movie and you get people making offers to you, you want to be very choosy of who you go with and make sure you're getting a good deal and not ripped off. So the movie's still out there all over the internet. It's on Tubi TV and Amazon and a bunch of other things. And most of the time it's free. You can just click on it and watch it. So after 3 years of being out there, it's still making money, which is cool.
Yeah, right. That's so. So if it takes a year to shoot, now I've been in movies that take a year to shoot, doing it on the weekends. How many actors do you have when you do an independent like that or a film like that? How many actors are in a movie like that?
Right. Usually, you want to go with a script that's conducive to a no budget movie or an ultra low budget movie by having a handful of actors and maybe 2 or 3 locations.
Right.
River was the exact opposite. We had at least 50 speaking actors, and we had 35 locations. So it was insane.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. And but I produced it. And so we took enough time in between weekends to really plan it out well. So we could show up at a location, shoot for 4 hours. If we had to move, go to another location, try to get an 8 or 10 hour day and make it quick. We had some money to give gas money to get people there. And then obviously we ate pretty well. So your micro budget goes to simple things like that.
Right.
But yeah,
right.
We created everything pretty much on our own. We got locations donated. And it was just a good group of people that busted their butts for almost a year.
And how many actors change over the year? And I mean, because that's one of the problems I notice is that all of a sudden you'll shoot a bunch of scenes and somebody will drop out. You have to reshoot all the scenes.
Yeah. I had people sign some kind of contract. Everybody knew what was up front, what they were going to get out of it. But there was a clause that saying you do not change your look.
Right.
Okay.
For a year.
Yeah. You do not change your look or you will be totally out. Totally out. Like no credit, no nothing. Your scenes will be stricken, et cetera, et cetera. So, the thing is you got to get people that are willing to commit that time and be that dedicated. And luckily we were, and everybody was really cool. I think the only thing you might notice is one of our actresses got a tattoo sleeve during the course of production, but it came in at the end, so it kind of didn't matter. But other than that, we kept pretty true to all the characters and the continuity, and it worked out really well. And it's a fun little movie,
Right. I noticed in Lost, I watched Lost, I think it's the greatest show ever. Partway through season 3, Jack, gets a tat on his arm, and then they hide it through the rest of they shoot him from a different angle because they're hiding the inner tattoo on his arm.
We'll just do close-ups.
Right. We'll just move him. So I often think how he didn't have a clause, or I don't know what the contract must have been on that show, but who knows, right? So tell
be careful.
Right. So tell the people what you have coming up. What do you have that you want to that's on the block? You have a bunch of stuff in post-production. What's on the block for you coming up next year?
Well, the main thing that we're working on are obviously those 2 movies that I starred in. They've gone to distribution, so we're waiting for the distributors to release them. and take them worldwide. But I'm really working hard with Hafid Abdelmoula, the creator of Broken Gaietti, on this next big project of his, which is called Invisible Shackles. And dude, it's a trip. Hafid's mind is way out there. So if we can pull this off, and like I said, we're not sure if it's going to be a feature film or a television series, because now we have Netflix up in Albuquerque, so we're trying to get an inline pitch to maybe do a pilot episode and toss it up to Netflix. So that's the big one. That's the fingers crossed. And then I'm just auditioning wherever I can, you know, trying to keep things going and happening.
And if people want you in their movies, tell the people where they can find you.
Oh, I'm all over Facebook. I'm a total media whore. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Google my name. You can find me. And yeah, let's make great stories, because bottom line is I love bringing great characters to life in great stories.
Man, that's it. That's really great. I don't think I can get any better than that. I want to thank you for being on the show. I really enjoyed talking to you, man. And real talk, you know, like I hope people understand this. If you're watching the show, this is real insider stuff. You got to pay a lot of money to learn this in class. And Mark Vasconcellos just gave it to you for free. So awesome, I hope you enjoy that. You know,
man, thank you for having me. And I think you and I are going to be friends for life now.
Man, you know what? You know what they say, right? When you film together, you're family.
Exactly.
I guess technically we shot together. You know,
cool.
Blessings to you. You know, stay safe out there. You know, New Mexico, man, it's a great state. It rocks. I think it's great. You know,
right,
and I don't.
Happy holidays. And if people need to chat me up on Facebook. And yeah, I try to help people out, man, because we're all still in the same boat until we make that $1 million paycheck.
There it is. There it is. Folks, no show for the rest of the year. I will see you in January. Mark Vasconcellos, thank you again for everything. We'll talk soon. See you next year, guys. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.